What is up, everybody? Welcome to a Thursday night edition of Gritsville, USA, right here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My name is Christian Harvey. I am the lovely host of this lovely show. We are on episode 12 of the Gritsville, USA show. Super excited to be doing this week in and week out. As you know, we got a pretty loaded show tonight. We're going to be talking majority about the Pistons tonight. Trade deadline ended earlier today. We got some movement going on. We'll discuss what that means. We're also going to be, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about just the NBA in general with what happened all within the last week. Just absolute insanity. Again, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about that. We're going to be talking about, obviously, the Wings. The Wings are just on fire, man. As Coach Tom McClellan said to the team right when he got hired, these boys are playing fucking hockey. Let me tell you, they are having a great time. We'll be talking about some Tigers, some MSU basketball. And I know last week I did say that I wouldn't talk about the Lions anymore, but it's my show. I can do whatever I want. We'll be talking about some Lions as well. Not as much, but we'll be talking about them just a bit. Super excited to be here with you guys on this Thursday night. Once again, you guys are watching Gritsville USA right here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We're going to be back after this.
Hi, eSports Radio fans. This show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Rise and shine. It's 4 a.m. The stars are still out. The sun is beneath the horizon, but it's time to punch in and go to work. The comfort of your warm-ups turns into the grinding out of your reps as the clinking and the clanking of the plates create a symphony of euphoria. There's no other feeling like it. Earn it, burn it, and take what's yours. iSports Radio has proudly partnered with Vital Apparel, a brand that not only fits great, but also promotes and donates to mental health research. Use our code IESR to get 15% off their comfortable and inspiring gym wear and help them on their amazing journey to support mental health. Go hard, take part in your iron therapy, and be strong. Because when your mental health is as strong as you are, there's no telling how far you'll go.
Hey there, iEsports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, I am Christian Harvey, and we got a lot to talk about tonight. Wild week in basketball, which is very weird to say because the NBA has been a bit of a lull lately, but man, did it really just take over the entire media world. Real quick, though, give me a follow at Gritsville_IESR on Twitter, X, whatever you guys call it still. I always refer to it as Twitter, but X for all intents and purposes. You can also follow us on those platforms on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube at IE Sports Radio. Check out our website, too, at IESportsRadio.com. You'll find my show there, and you'll find a bunch of other great shows there. We got some new drops for you also this week. I'm so super excited to just be able to promote some of the newer shows we got going on. Some shows that are almost just about as new as mine. Can't wait to, show what they got going on. Check them out. They're a great time. Always love when I'm able to tune in to those shows. So definitely check us out. And of course, we're always wherever you guys find your podcasts as well. All right. So to lead off, we're going to be talking about some Pistons basketball, but real quick, like I said in the intro, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what happened with the trade deadline this week. Just an absolute wild one. Kicked off earlier this week, last week as well, with what was the trade that broke social media, and it happened at, if I'm not mistaken, almost I think midnight Chicago time, when I'm just relaxing with my fiance, watching TV, and then I get a notification on my phone, and I saw that there was a trade between the Mavericks and the Lakers. And I saw Luka Doncic's name be involved, and oh my lord, I couldn't believe it. Luka Doncic to the Lakers for basically, in essence, Anthony Davis and a first-round pick to the Mavs. It's been talked about. I'm not going to spend too much time on it, but I got to give my input. I don't know what the Mavs GM is doing. Nico Harrison. Dude shouldn't have a job, basically. That was just absolutely atrocious to be able to give up Luka Doncic and then basically give it under the narrative of, oh, we wanted more defense, and then let it kind of slip out that, no, this dude is just fat and we didn't want him, which is just absolutely absurd. This man led you to the NBA Finals last year. Granted, you didn't win, but he led you there. And just absolutely atrocious. Jerry Jones had to be pulling some strings or something. I don't think Jerry Jones was pulling some strings. I think Nico Harrison got CTE somehow being the GM of a basketball team. Everybody's been making fun of Jerry Jones and what he's been doing with the Cowboys. This doesn't even pale in comparison what Nico Harrison just did. And then real quick, thank you so much, Taryn. Thank you so much. You're always tuning in. Appreciate you, buddy. But yeah, just absolutely unreal what happened. And just trying to hear him defend it was just, I can't even begin. If the Mavericks don't make if they don't make noise in the playoffs, this dude doesn't have a job next year. I'm very much convinced. He wanted Anthony Davis because it makes the team better defensively. Okay, let's see how this works. If I'm not mistaken, I think Anthony Davis is going to make his Mavericks debut this weekend. So we're going to see how that goes. But then obviously, we had a bunch of other trades too. We had DeAndre Hunter to the Cavs. We had the Jimmy Butler trade, which the Pistons were involved in, so we'll be talking about that a bit. Just a lot of pieces moving around. You had Chris Middleton going to the Wizards. I feel bad for that guy. And then you had Mark Williams from Charlotte going to the Lakers. Just so much happening that it really took away from the NFL this week. And this is like the NFL's biggest week. This is Super Bowl week. And all your sports shows, all sports medias are covering the NBA. And even though today is Thursday, the trade deadline is done, it's over. Super Bowl's in a few days. Guess what's still going to be talked about? The NBA. Everybody's going to be waiting to see when Luka's going to debut. Everybody's going to see when Anthony Davis is going to debut. Jimmy Butler is going to debut. Like, it's just absolute insanity what happened this week. And just even the fact that it took away from the NFL is huge. I'm sure that Roger Goodell is not happy. And, this is what you get when you have the Chiefs in the Super Bowl again. No one cares. No one cares. I'll be tuning in because it's football. I have to. This is the only football I'm going to get until basically September in the professional league. Like, no one cares. The NBA really brought back that soap opera energy that happens every trade deadline. It's great. I heard somebody say this is basically the male version of Days of Our Lives, The Young and the Restless. Like, this is it. The NBA is more fun when it's like this than actually sometimes watching the games themselves. It is just, it's a roller coaster ride. I feel for Luka. He was definitely blindsided by all this, but the Lakers basically have the cornerstone of their franchise for the next 10 years. So good on the Lakers. But basically, like I mentioned, Jimmy Butler was traded from the Heat to the Warriors. Why does that matter? Because the Pistons were involved in that trade. It was a 5-team trade. It was a 5-team trade between the Warriors, the Heat, the Jazz, the Pistons, and I believe even the Raptors were involved somehow. And what did the Pistons get out of it? The Pistons got Dennis Schroeder and Lindy Waters III at the deadline. Not quite the splash as what I was kind of talking about before with the Pistons. I was bringing up names like Brandon Ingram, who ended up going to Toronto. I brought up Michael Porter Jr., who stayed pat. And then even some wild card players like Jimmy Butler himself. There was even a slight movement yesterday of Pistons fans being like, oh my God, let's go get Kevin Durant. But no, we ended up getting Dennis Schroeder, Lindy Waters III, and the Pistons and all this, because they had some other trades going on. Like, we got a dude from the 76ers, and then another guy from Miami who ended up just being part of the maneuvering around of like NBA trades. They're just so damn confusing. Like poor Dennis Schroeder. Yesterday he woke up being on the Warriors, and then he found himself at Miami. Then he found himself with the Jazz, and now today he's finalized with the Pistons. So just a lot of movement going on. That's just how the NBA is with their trades. Just so much flying, but Pistons ended up with Dennis Schroeder and Lindy Waters. And I remembered yesterday when the Jimmy Butler news broke, and then I saw that Dennis Schroeder was going to Miami. I'm like, why didn't we get involved in this? Why wasn't he being streamlined right to us? But Trajan Langdon, he made something work, and we got Dennis Schroeder. And I think we got 2 additional second-round draft picks. I don't know how many second-round draft picks we got. It's either 1 or 2. It's just it was all very confusing, because with so much movement, like I just lost track. I don't think I saw a single post on Twitter where somebody was able to accurately say what it was. I think the trade just got finalized within the last 30 minutes. The teams made it known what exactly happened. And we ended up with Dennis Schroeder. And what that does for the Pistons, just kind of right off the rip, I'm a fan of this trade. Now, Dennis Schroeder, he's been kind of an off the bench guy, which is what exactly what the Pistons were needing, first and foremost. Exactly what the Pistons were needing. We needed a ball handler to come off the bench. And while, yes, Jaden Ivey was a starter, he was the team's primary ball handler. Other than Cade Cunningham, there really isn't anybody who could specialize in that. That is Dennis Schroeder's specialty. He's a shooter. He works very well in the pick and roll, which is what the Pistons offense basically is. So this is a player that can come in here and just fit perfectly within what we got going on. This year, he was mainly with Brooklyn and the Warriors. He was in Brooklyn last year as well. And even this year, I think he was still with Brooklyn. He was averaging, I think, 18 points a game. And Brooklyn was utilizing him pretty well. But then when he got traded to, the Warriors had no idea how to use him. He was still getting like 26 minutes a game. Like I said, he was kind of like their main guy coming off the bench. But he was just averaging about 10 points a game with them. Like the Warriors really had no idea how to use him. And I saw another post on Twitter, and I'm not going to pretend like I'm a big Dennis Schroeder guy and I know what he gets. Like I'm not paying attention to the NBA if it's not really the Pistons or the drama of the trade deadline. Somebody was saying that of all the 4 teams that he basically got traded to within the last day, or that he was a part of because he wasn't traded to the Warriors, that the Pistons are the best fit for him. And with us needing a backup point guard anyway, and then us getting him, I'm excited to see what he's going to bring. He's part of a playoff team. It sounds like he's excited to be here because he made a comment after the wildness of what happened today, just saying that he's excited to be part of a team that's pushing for playoff basketball. So welcome to the team, Dennis Schroeder. And then as far as Lindy Waters go, he's a guy, I guess. I know he had like a career high 24 points earlier this season with the Warriors coming off the bench. I think they were blowing out Washington or something. So obviously he's going to get his points. But from basically what I read earlier on Bleacher Report, whatever, this is exactly what Bleacher Report said. Bleacher Report said that he can be a legitimately useful shooter who delivers some on-ball shake in space. So cool. Just additional depth. I know that they ended up waiving Wendell Moore Jr. And yeah, sounds like I need to buy the NBA subscription. Do it. I would definitely recommend doing it. I got a free trial for it through FanDuel a while back. But yeah, it's been really enjoyable to be able to catch the Pistons whenever I'm able to. Obviously, exciting basketball going on. Just absolute heartbreakers the last 2 games that the Pistons had. Just losing on back-to-back game-winning shots. Just, God, last night's was ridiculous. You know, the Pistons were down 110-102. And there was 58 seconds left. They come back and tie the game. Cade Cunningham went absolutely ballistic. He hit his shots from 3. He went up to the free throw line, made all 3 shot attempts that he had on there. We tied the game. I'm like, okay, cool. This thing's going to overtime. And then Darius Garland of the Cavs from the logo, game-winning 3. And then just 2 days ago, Trae Young hit an icy game winner at the buzzer too. So it's like terrible ways to lose. And the Pistons in those 2 games, they didn't really have control of the game in that situation. But the thing that I enjoyed watching was that they came back and made it interesting. The Hawks game, they were kind of down throughout, but in the fourth quarter, they clawed back. And then last night against the Cavs, you know, they clawed back in the last minute. They were down 8 points with less than a minute to go, tied it, and then just an absolute freak shot from Darius Garland to win the game. It can be up to debate that Asor Thompson didn't really guard him well. That Asor was kind of going for the steal of the ball instead of just straight up defending, and it's just very uncharacteristic from Asor Thompson because he's probably our top solid defender on the team, and just out of character. Led to Garland hitting the game-winning shot. The Pistons right now are sitting at 25-26, I believe, so they're a game back of 500 now. Where that leads us in the standings, Pistons are still 7th. They're still 7th. They're up a half a game against the Magic. The Magic's kind of tanking right now a bit. And then we're a game back of the Heat. I fully expect the Heat to not... Well, they've been kind of hanging in there with Jimmy Butler not really being part of the team. They just got Andrew Wiggins from the Warriors. So we'll see what happens to the Heat. I still don't expect much from them, if I'm being honest, but we'll see. But obviously, after the trade deadline, what do you grade Trajan Langdon's first trade deadline? Obviously, the noise of the last few weeks, when the Pistons and Trajan Langdon even said so himself, like they're performing above expectation. They're in the thick of a playoff race. As far as the fifth seed and down are concerned, they're the top seed in the play-in bracket. Obviously, the fans, we've been waiting for this forever. We want meaningful basketball, and here we are at a trade deadline where the Pistons look like they could potentially be buyers. And it really came down to, the wire today. I think it was quite literally just 30 minutes before the trade deadline where news broke out that Schroeder was getting rerouted to the Pistons. All up until that point, it was like, oh my God, nothing's happening. And then that happened at the last time. But this is what I really enjoyed about what Trajan Langdon did. He gave up nothing to get Dennis Schroeder. We didn't have to give up any of our own players. We didn't have to give up any of our own draft picks. And we still landed with a solid off-the-bench guy who is going to handle the ball handling issue that we got going on. We got a guy who's going to allow Cade to just sit and rest for a minute, and then we don't have to panic because the team's going to implode whenever he's not on the court. Dennis Schroeder, yes, he gets moved around a lot, but he's a very formidable player. He's in the association for a reason. So I fully expect a lot better Pistons basketball going on. I'm excited to see him make his debut. He's excited to be here, which I think speaks volumes. And I guess you can kind of say, okay, he's kind of just finally happy that he knows that he has a home for the rest of the season, especially with what's been going on the last 24 hours. But I'm excited to see what he brings. I think this does improve the team. And for that, I'm going to give Trajan Langdon a B. B- around that range for his first trade deadline. I mean, he didn't give anything up, which was massive. And then he brought back a guy. Would I have liked him to do more? Yes. I would have loved Brandon Ingram to get here. It just didn't happen that way. And it's unfortunate. I don't know what Toronto's doing. But that's just kind of how the cookie crumbles sometimes. I'm glad Dennis Schroeder's here, though. Again, I do fully believe that he improves the team. And I'm very excited to see what the Pistons do. The Pistons play against the Sixers tomorrow. Hell, I think it's the Pistons' first game on a primetime broadcast, and I don't even know how long. They're playing against the Sixers tomorrow. Sixers are one of those teams right now that seems like they're kind of getting it together, so this is another test for the Pistons. I don't really want to see them drop another 3 straight. So I'm hoping that they can get back in the win column. They are at the Pizza Dome tomorrow, so we're going to see how that rolls with them. Like I said before, the month of February is very favorable for the Pistons. I think if there's any time for them to just really for sure secure a playoff spot, this is a month to do it. This is without a doubt the month to just kind of, even if you just lock in a play-in spot, this is the month to do it. Oh, the one thing I was really pissed about, I really wanted Lonzo Ball from Chicago, and I really thought we were going to get him. I got the notification that Lonzo Ball last night, he was scratched. And typically when trade deadline season is going on, you see a player getting benched for at last minute, oh my God, are they part of a trade? And I saw Lonzo get benched. So I'm like, oh my God, it's going to happen, because he would fit perfectly on this team, just to see that he got extended for 2 more years. So again, Chicago not committing to the rebuild. I don't know what the hell they're doing. But they got the player I wanted, which sucks. But again, Dennis Schroeder to the Pistons. We're excited. But now I want to talk about the other LCA tenant. And God, this is just for those that have been following me since I started this show with IE Sports Radio. I was very critical of the Detroit Red Wings. Just absolutely. I was done. They were a joke to watch. No effort, no passion. And it's like Steve Yzerman's failing his job because he's not letting go of the coach. He's not doing anything himself as far as player movement management goes. The team was an utter disaster. And then day after Christmas, the Red Wings fans got the present they all wanted. Derek Lalonde, fired, gone, out of here. Goodbye, Gru. And then we bring in Todd McClellan. And oh my God. what a gift that was. Because for the second time in the McClellan era, the Red Wings are winners of 7 straight. So this is how it happened. This is how this has gone down. I believe they immediately lost the first game with Tom McClellan. Then they started to win. And then I think they lost a couple. And then they went on to win 7 straight. Then they lost 3 in a row. And then now we're back at winning 7 straight. So that's 2 7-game win streaks in the Tom McClellan era, which is just absolutely insane. The Red Wings record is just, it's so weird to see them above 500. I'm going to talk about the record in a second. But we are just continuing to roll in the Todd Father era. I love it. Absolutely love what we got going on right now. They're playing such gritty hockey. And again, gritty is just Detroit's thing right now. Just gritty. They're playing such gritty hockey. The game last night, I think it was last night, against the Kraken, might have been 2 nights ago, because they just finished up their West Coast trip. So 2 nights ago, game against the Kraken. They were up. They were up 4-2. They blow the lead. Wham. We go to overtime. Okay, cool. We're getting a point. But we're at the point now where every point matters in this playoff run. So it's like we had to win. Overtime ends. We go to a shootout. We win it in shootout. Patrick Kane, now the most all-time shootout goals in NHL history with his 300th, I think. So, again, congrats to Patrick Kane on that. But the resilience in this team, you know, they're riding high. They collapse. But they just don't implode. Again, I'm going to say this until the wheels fall off. They're playing fucking hockey. They get their shit back together. And they come out with the win. 7 straight. And I told myself I wouldn't do this. When they started winning those games with Todd McClellan, I told myself I wouldn't do this. But then I saw something. I saw something on Twitter. And I'm going to quote it. And this was at Red Wing Diehards on Twitter. Give him a follow. Obviously, he's a Red Wing diehard. He said this, and I'm quoting it verbatim. I'm going to say something that is surely going to help us all remain calm and rational. The 2018-19 St. Louis Blues and the 2024-25 Red Wings both had 15, 18, and 4 records through 37 games played. Deal with this juicy information whatever you'd like. Cheers, gang. So at the 37-game mark, both the Red Wings and the Blues had a record of 15, 8, and 4. Why does that matter? The St. Louis Blues in that year, when they started off as a dumpster fire, made a coaching change. They were 15, 18, and 4 through 37 games, went on to win the Stanley Cup. The Red Wings had the same record at that time. The Red Wings currently are sitting at 28, 21, and 5. So that's 7 games above 500. If you want to count the overtime losses, you're still above 500. You're currently the number 1 wild card spot. You have 61 points. You hold the top wild card seed, so you're technically the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. You hold it by a point, but you're still leading that spot. In your division, the Atlantic Division, you are behind the division leader by 6 points. The Florida Panthers have 67. Toronto Maple Leafs have 66. The Ottawa Senators have 62, and then the Red Wings there at 61. I don't know, guys. I told myself I wouldn't do this, that the St. Louis Blues were an anomaly, that yes, historically in hockey, teams do improve if they fire a coach mid-season and bring another guy on. But I told myself I wouldn't fall into the St. Louis Blues thing. But I kind of have to now. They're not going to win the Stanley Cup. Let me make that known now. They're not going to win it. Do I believe they can? It's possible now. I think unless this team absolutely implodes, they're going to make the playoffs. They're finally going to make the playoffs again. And I think once you get there, if the St. Louis Blues can do it, why not the Red Wings? That's all I'm going to say. The Red Wings have the trade deadline coming up. I don't remember when the NHL's trade deadline is. I don't know if the Red Wings are even going to make any moves. I don't believe the Red Wings are in a selling mode. They definitely are not. But do I see the Red Wings buying? I don't see it. It's not. I just don't see Yzerman doing that. I really don't. But even then, I mean, I'm just, again, I bring this up again. For those that have watched my show from the beginning, everybody knew how critical I was of this team. I was done with them. I think I had like a half-hour rant on them once. And then just to be here in this position now, oh, man. Red Wings play next against the Lightning on Saturday. That is a 1 o'clock game on it's a national broadcast on ABC for those that want to tune in. Because the Wings are here, man. The Wings are here. The Wings win the Cup. Pistons win the finals. Yeah, if all those things happen, we're definitely so back. No, it's like the Renaissance is here, people. The Renaissance is here. Detroit sports are back, and it's scary that the Lions are leading the way. Pistons, exciting basketball. May not really make a lot of noise in the playoffs, but they're going to make it, and it's going to be exciting. The Wings, they are just on fire. They don't want to let up at all. The Tigers, I'll be talking about them in a few minutes here, but we just got some exciting shit going on in Detroit, man. We got a renaissance going on here. Watch. 2 years from now, all 4 teams are going to be title contenders in their respective leagues. All 4. The Lions window, they're not even at the halfway point of their window yet. The Pistons and the Red Wings, they'll have their windows there in 2 years. Watch. The Tigers, you're going to have to wait and see. Because I will be talking about what I think about the Tigers and their chances this season. But we're going to take a quick break. Once again, you guys are watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
For the last 10 years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and YouTube to keep up with the latest in sports and with all of our shows. Also, make sure to check out our daily updated website at iesportsradio.com. At iesportsradio.com, you can see our daily show schedule and check out all of our show pages with personal bios to learn a little bit more about each of our awesome hosts. In addition to our show pages, you can catch the IE Sports Radio blog, Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month page, and our merchandise shop including t-shirts, tank tops, caps, long sleeves, hoodies, and more. For now over a decade here at IE Sports Radio, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and we thank you all for your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Minnesota sports? Do you love the Vikings and hate the Packers? Are you a fan of the Timberwolves, Twins, Wild, Lynx, St. Paul Saints? Here on the Bold North Breakdown, we'll talk about all of those professional teams as well as all the college teams in the area. That's your basketball teams, football, hockey, volleyball, men's and women's sports alike. We talk about them all. You're on the Bold North Breakdown. Join me, your host, Glenn Ritter, every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Central to discuss all that is happening in the Minnesota sports scene. Here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, Wisconsin sports fans? I'm Dan, diehard Baholic, host of the Wisconsin Whistle. Check us out every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific. We're talking Green Bay Packers, Milwaukee Brewers, Milwaukee Bucks, Marquette basketball, Wisconsin football and basketball, and all Wisconsin sports. Don't miss us each week, Wednesdays, 6 p.m. on IE Sports Radio. Your direct feed for all that is sports.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville, USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Make sure to check out our new shows that we got going on. Glenn and Dan do a phenomenal job. Those were the drops that you guys just watched. Please check them out. Phenomenal shows. Can't wait for the new NFL season to come around because, man, a lot of shit talk's going to happen. Let's just put it that way. But right now, before we get into Tigers Talk, I just want to take a couple minutes on Michigan State basketball and just give you an update with what's going on with them because right now it is not a good time in Spartan Nation. But MSU basketball, they were kind of riding high a bit, but then they went out to the West Coast, city of LA, and they went ahead and dropped both games against the big LA schools out there, USC and UCLA. Just left them seeing stars, let's put it that way. And I don't know. I mean, my resolution for them this year was to win the Big Ten, and I'm not writing them off yet. Obviously, there's still plenty of conference season left, but they just looked so uninspired and didn't really speak to me much that they just dropped back-to-back games. Like, I don't know what you're doing there. I think they got a game against Oregon next back in East Lansing. But they got to kind of pull it together here, because right now you're game back behind Purdue. U of M's still right on your tails. U of M, despite all of their mishaps or whatever, they're winning these games. MSU lost 2 gimmies, USC and UCLA basketball for all intents and purposes. Not the best. UCLA is a lot better than USC, but still not teams you want to be losing to, especially when you were basically in the driver's seat for the conference. Like, yeah, there's still a conference tournament coming around, but you were sitting undefeated. You were sitting at 9-0. You could be 11-0 right now if you didn't drop those 2 games. Just sometimes the way the cookie crumbles, as a U of M fan, you just really hate to see it. You just hate to see it. I'm just excited for the in-state game. That's all I want. I want the in-state game desperately. Because that's going to be a good old time. Because it's been a minute since we've had both a solid U of M team and a solid Spartan team. I mean, Spartans are always solid. I take that back. Spartans are always solid. But at the same time, like, U of M in the Juwan Howard era was not pretty good. Not good at all. So it's exciting to finally be able to, talk a bunch of shit with the MSU fans. Because that's what this team needs. I mean, God, football this year, at that time of the year when it was U of M and Sparty football, man, nobody cared about that game. This was the game where the fans were like, man, we both suck. So to have the basketball teams be good, and then even by extension, the collegiate hockey teams, like, That showdown that's going to happen at LCA when it does, man, that's going to be a good-ass time. Can't wait to talk about that. But right now, I do want to touch base on the Detroit Tigers. When we spoke about the Tigers last, it was an exciting time. I was very happy. We re-signed Jack Flaherty. He's back in town. He's our number 2 starting pitcher. And then I made a plea that, okay, let's just get Alex Bregman and be done with it. Well, there's a little update on the Bregman front. And despite of all the times that I've been clawing for him and we're wanting him, I think I kind of switched up my stance a little bit. So Scott Boras came out today, his agent. For those that are familiar, Scott Boras is demon in a suit. But basically, he was saying that Alex Bregman is taking nothing less than a 6 or 7 year deal. There were talks that he was willing to come down because the market for him wasn't really there, that he was willing to take a shorter deal, like anywhere kind of between 1 to 4 years. And then I don't know what switched up. That now he's very adamant, like, nope, I'm not doing anything less than 6. Do I expect that to change? Yes, because again, I think if that's the case, he really has talked himself out of a market. Because it really seems like Houston was out of the talks. It seems like Houston gave up again. So it really came down to the Tigers and the Chicago Cubs. The Red Sox, I believe, are going after Nolan Arenado from St. Louis. I think they're going to try to make a trade happen there. If that doesn't happen, I think the Red Sox are still in talks. And then the Toronto Blue Jays are also still in it because they're willing to spend the money. But the problem is, I don't think anybody's really wanting to give him a term like that. By the time that the regular season starts, he's going to be on the wrong side of 30. He's not getting any younger. He just came off a season where he was hurt for about half of it. Like, yes, he has pop. He's a solid player. But you also, in the Tigers case, you don't want to get into a Javier Baez situation where you sign him for long and then now you're stuck with him even though he's more useless than a broken piece of wood. And that's kind of the fear across kind of Tiger Nation right now, that Bregman could potentially be that, because we don't want to be stuck again with another player that we can't get rid of. And this is a fine example of, I'm fine with Scott Harris just kind of standing pat and letting this ride out. If a team out there decides to give Bregman a 6-year deal for however much money, cool. I'm not going to be upset with it. I'm not going to be upset. Because the Tigers will just be getting themselves in a situation that they don't need to be in. Idealistically, I would like the Tigers to get Bregman maybe maximum 4 years. You get him till he's 35, and then that's it. But 6-7 year deal, you're talking about having him on your team when he's going to be 37, 38. And you're still going to be paying him a lot of money in those seasons where he's going to be absolutely probably useless at that point, especially with the type of injuries that he's having. So it's just a game of chicken at this point between the Tigers, whatever other teams still want Alex Bregman, and then Alex Bregman and Scott Boras themselves. I don't see this as Bregman and Boras getting what they want. I think right now what they're trying to do is they're just going to be like, okay, like, let's say, for example, the Tigers, like, okay, we're not going to give you the term, but we'll give you more money. And I think that's what's going on right now. Boras and Bregman are trying to shift their perspective back. Like, okay, I just want term. Knowing that no team is going to give them that term. But at that point, teams are probably going to be willing to spend more money on him. Shorter term, more money. What does it matter? I think if you can get Bregman at 3 or 4 years, I think you absolutely go for it. At that point, by the time his contract is up, your window is going to be basically wide open. The Tigers expect the window is going to be open. We got some characters down in the minors that will be up here in that time, wait for the kids situation type of deal. But at that point, wait for the kids actually works out, because no matter what, Lorenzo, Clark, McGonigal, like, they're still a few years away. We still got time. So I'm cool. Let's say the Cubs, for example, the Cubs get Bregman for 6 years. Fine. I'm not going to be mad at it. That's the grave they want to dig themselves in. That's cool. Doesn't bother me much. Because I'm telling you, this is a player you don't want to sign 6 or 7 years to. Because when you're giving him all that money towards the end of his contract, it's basically for him to be probably not playing a full season and for him to probably be useless. Bregman has probably about 3 or 4 more years of good baseball left in him, in my opinion. That's all I want. That's all I want the Tigers to do. Even if the Tigers get him for 2 years, I think I'll be fine with it. I don't want another 1-year situation. We got a lot of those already. But if we can get him for 2 years, 2 to 4 years, to me, that's the sweet spot. That's the sweet spot for me. We can provide the pop now without, damaging the future. But then this begs a new question. Because obviously, yes, you get Alex Bregman on your team. The Alex Bregman now, eventual 31-year-old, 32-year-old Alex Bregman on your team now with what you got going on. You're favorites to win not only the AL Central, but the World Series. I believe that without a shadow of doubt in my mind. That you will be World Series favorites if you get this man on your team, at least for the next 2 years. And then you'll continue to be World Series favorites afterwards because you got the young kids up. Or whoever else you want to spend money on, whoever's going to be a free agent in 2 or 3 years' time. But what if they don't sign him? Because if they don't sign him, that's, unless a trade happens, which I don't foresee a trade happening at all. You don't sign Bregman, another team gets him, that's kind of wraps on the Tigers offseason. Like, that's it, that's done. The big signing was Gleyber Torres and re-signing Jack Flaherty. Are the Tigers still AL Central favorites without Bregman? Yes. In my opinion, you are. The AL Central, in my opinion, outside of the Tigers, do not impress me. Yes, the Cleveland Guardians are there, but they have Jose Ramirez and Steven Kwan, and that's basically about it. I think they still have Lane Thomas, but their pitching doesn't speak to me. I think the Tigers got better while the Cleveland Guardians kind of stood still. And the Tigers almost upset the Guardians in the divisional round, in the divisional series. Almost did. It was the lack of bats that kind of did us in right there. But guess what? We got another bat. Say what you want, but Gleyber Torres is an upgrade in this lineup. You retained your pitching. And by retain, I mean you brought Jack Flaherty back. Because that was another thing that I think bit the Tigers in the ass in the divisional series was you had Skubal and you had pitching chaos. Skubal got lit up that game 5 when I think he could have benefited from having maybe Jack Flaherty there to back him up just in case. But guess what? Now we have Flaherty for 2 more years. Or for 2 years. So the Tigers got better. Without a shadow of doubt in my mind. Oh, trust me, Steven Kwan is a terrorist. I hate that man. I absolutely detest Steven Kwan for what he did. I don't want to get into that. I was so mad with Steven Kwan that series just because he wouldn't stop lighting us up. But that's besides the point. I still think without a shadow of a doubt, the Tigers are AL Central favorites. I think they will win the division. As the team currently stands, they will win the division. Are they World Series contenders? I don't believe so. Actually, I can't say that. Let me think here for like 2 seconds. I can't say that. Because last year, with the pitching chaos, when we were rolling into the playoffs, I legitimately thought we were going to make it to the World Series. I really did. I was one of those teams, or one of those people that believed if we got past Cleveland and we went up against the Yankees, that we were going to beat the Yankees. I really thought we were going to beat the Yankees. Despite them having Aaron Judge and Juan Soto, I thought we were going to beat them. Well, guess what? This year, now you look at the American League right now. Did the Yankees get better? They did not. They lost Juan Soto. The Mets now have Juan Soto. The Yankees did not get better. The Red Sox, I don't think, got better. The Cleveland Guardians did not get better. The Kansas City Royals did not get better. The Twins did not get better. Astros, no. Rangers, no. None of these other teams, in my opinion, got better. The Tigers did. Who did the Yankees get? The Yankees got somebody. But not not enough of an impact to replace what Juan Soto brought to that team. None of these other teams got better, in my opinion. They got worse. The Tigers are the only team that got better. So I retract my statement. I think even as the team stands currently right now, knowing what your pitching staff has and what Chris Fetter can do, this team is a World Series contender. If you can get a couple bats going, hell, sky's the limit for this team. Opening day can't come fast enough. Let's put it that way. I think they open the season in LA against the Dodgers. Probably lose that one because the Dodgers are just a money laundering organization. Can't stand the Dodgers. They're killing baseball. I don't care what anyone says. The Dodgers are killing baseball. But I'm so excited for this Tigers team. If we get Alex Bregman, oh my God, get us in the World Series already. Maybe there is something. If those that remember a few weeks back when I brought up that MLB.com, Major League Baseball's own website, gave a 10-year prediction each year for what team's going to be in the World Series. For those that remember, their prediction for this upcoming season was Dodgers against the Tigers. Maybe I see it now. Maybe I do. Maybe the Tigers will make the World Series in the American League because no other team got better. We did. I can't say that enough. We got better. So maybe the World Series is in the window for us, barring any catastrophic injury. Oh my God. Yeah, we're making this to the World Series, man. Just the wheels are turning in my head here as I'm talking about it. I wasn't going to talk in World Series. I didn't plan for it, but now I am. I'm hyping myself up right here. The Tigers will be World Series contenders. Quote it. If they get Alex Bregman, oh yeah, it's happening. It's happening for sure. I'll put it this way, and I'll finish off with this before we go to our last commercial break. As the team currently stands, I would say 50% chance you go to the World Series. I'm not even playing. I believe in this team that much. 50% chance that you make it to the World Series as the team currently stands. You can convince Bregman to come here on a lesser term. I would jump that up to about 80. I'm not even playing. I think I would jump it up to 80% to make it to the World Series if we bring Alex Bregman in. Wow. Believe me, if you look at my show notes, I was not wanting to talk about this now. It's just the way that the thing was progressing. I had to talk about it now. I really do think we're World Series contenders either way. Wow. I can't wait for this show to become very Tiger centric because it's gonna be a fun ride. It's gonna be a fun ride all summer long. I'm super excited for this team. Please don't disappoint me. That's all I can say because I think I'll be more heartbroken if the Tigers just utterly collapse than I was for the Lions losing to the Commanders. I really think I would be more heartbroken if this Tiger season just is an abysmal failure. Like, when do the baseball start? So baseball season begins, I believe, end of March, early April. Spring training, I believe, starts up next week with pitchers and catchers reporting. Then we have the 2 months of spring training. And I fully do believe, and this is, I know I keep saying it, this is the last note I'll make, especially on the Alex Bregman front, because I don't want to keep talking about Bregman week in and week out if he's not coming here. I saw a report that something probably will be happening with the Bregman front by the end of this weekend. Before this weekend ends, I think the league will know where exactly he's going because I also don't foresee spring training starting and him not being with the team. I just don't see that happening. I think on his front, that'll be really idiotic. I think, right, like I said, I think the term thing is just a last-ditch effort to get a team to just cave to what they want, but in the back of their minds, they're like, we're just going to go with whatever team gives us money. It doesn't matter the term. I don't foresee Bregman going into spring training without a team. And somebody out there, I do not remember who, so I can't give them credit. I apologize. Somebody else is kind of hinting that a decision will be made before the end of this weekend. So we'll see if next week's show is going to be celebratory or if we're going to be just kind of, it is what it is. We're going to roll either way. Does not matter. All right, guys. One last break before we finish off with yet again the Lions. I promise this will be the last time we talk about them for a while. It's just, you'll see why I'm going to talk about them in a second. But once again, you guys are watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We will be right back.
What's going on, guys? This is the greatest of all time, the best in the world, but more importantly, the owner of the world, Brandon the Franchise Buck, and I am your host for This is KC Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Are you interested in knowing what's going on in Kansas City? Well, this is the show for you. Not only do we talk about sports concerning the Kansas City Chiefs, the Kansas City Royals, Sporting KC, KC Current, as well as all surrounding high schools, and of course, college when it comes to KU, K-State, UMKC, and of course, my alma mater, the Pittsburgh State Gorillas. You can catch it all right here, as well as some fun facts about Kansas City and what's going on, such as music, festivals, whatever the case may be, in case you have to be out and about. So make sure you stay tuned to our new time and new day, Fridays at 2 p.m. Central, for This is KC Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, with your host with the most, Brandon the Franchise Buck.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris is the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports, exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
All right, guys, welcome back to Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You guys obviously just watched the drops for our Kansas City and Philadelphia shows. Big week for them, I think. Just a little game being played on Sunday. But like I said, we're going to finish off with some Lions talk. As much as I didn't really want to this week, it's just the big NFL story that came out this week was Myles Garrett from the Cleveland Browns requesting a trade, which obviously begs the obvious question: should the Lions pursue Myles Garrett? On paper, obviously, why would you not? Line him up with Aiden Hutchinson on the defensive line. Oh, assuming nobody dies again, we're winning the Super Bowl. I don't care. Myles Garrett is a player that you would give stuff up for. Like, you really would. And there's so many teams out there that would do it. Cleveland is very adamant that they are not moving him. Andrew Berry, their general manager, said first, yeah, I'm not doing it. And then Myles Garrett later came out saying, nah, I'm requesting a trade right now. He wants to win a title. He doesn't care about anything else. He just wants to win, and he just doesn't see that happening in Cleveland. And frankly, I don't blame him. Dumpster fire of a franchise, not happening there. But it does beg the question, is he going to win? And is he going to win? Is he going to get traded? I think he does. Do I think he comes to Detroit? From what I've seen so far, from Brad Holmes. I don't see Brad Holmes doing a trade like this, as much as I hate to say it. The question, should they pursue him? Yes, of course they should. I don't see that happening, is the unfortunate thing. This team likes to keep hold of their draft picks, and for a good reason. So far, they've been hitting on all their draft picks. Like, yes, this past, I think, draft, I think so far, and this is how I know we've been spoiled as Detroit fans, that we've been really spoiled with the draft, because last year's picks haven't really hit, and we're already deeming it a failure. Some people are. I shouldn't speak for the whole fan base. Some people are already saying that last year's draft is Holmes' first miss. No, we've just been spoiled with players getting immediate impact. And yes, a player like Terrion Arnold should have immediate impact, but the reality is that he did. Like, yeah, opposite Carlton Davis, he was solid. I still think Terrion Arnold's going to be a phenomenal cornerback in this league. Yes, first round pick, but I believe in 2 years' time, we'll be talking about him being one of the top corners in the whole league. Same with Ennis Rakestraw. Rakestraw, our second round pick. Give him some time. I think he'll be a very formidable corner for us. Just because we didn't see the immediate impact like we saw with, Laporta, with Hutch, with Gibbs. I can't say Hutch. People hated Hutch in his first year. With Gibbs, Laporta, like Brian Branch, like just because there wasn't the immediateness, people were starting to hate on it. But the way this team operates is we hold on to the draft picks. We're not going to let them up. And who do we have on our roster currently that Cleveland would want? Somebody, I forgot what clown on ESPN said, oh, the Lions should trade Jahmyr Gibbs 3 first-round picks and like 2 seconds to get Myles Garrett. And I'm like, what type of crack are you on, my guy? This team is not trading Jahmyr Gibbs at all. Did you not see how he did at the end of the season when Montgomery wasn't there? You think we're going to be trading that? No. I don't know if this dude was a Cleveland fan. And it was funny. For those that have seen the clip, when it made the rounds, like, you should have seen the other ESPN hosts around him. Some dude had to walk off the set because he couldn't believe what he was hearing. It's just absolutely unbelievable that somebody would think that. And again, yes, the Lions should pursue Myles Garrett. Do I see it happening as things currently stand? I don't. Tonight was a very fun thing because tonight is the NFL Honors, which we will be talking about the NFL Honors in a bit, because the Lions do have a winner so far in the Honors. And we have 2 potential other winners. One not so much, but one very well could be. I see the comments. Trust me, I'll get to it. But at the NFL Honors tonight, there was a picture that somebody took. And this kind of got some Lions fans going, let me tell you. There was a picture of Jared Goff, Aiden Hutchinson, and Myles Garrett all talking together. Just kind of, before the show started type of deal. They were talking together, and it's like, some Lions fans are like, oh. And you see that Aiden's like very animated in that picture too. So it's like, oh my God, he's already planting the seed in Myles Garrett's head. But again, it's all going to come down to Brad. I mean, the players are kind of making it known already. Amner on his podcast, the St. Brown podcast with his brother, he already said, like, yeah, let's go get him. The players are making it known that Myles Garrett would absolutely be welcome here. And I think Myles Garrett would also be open to coming here. Why wouldn't he? He's talking about wanting to go to a title contender. This is the team to do it. And the reality is, if Cleveland does relent and decide to trade him, he's not going to go to an AFC team. He will be coming to an NFC team. The unfortunate other news is that I can't exclude Philadelphia from performing witchcraft again and somehow landing him. I know Green Bay desperately wants him. I know Chicago desperately wants him. Basically, almost every team would want him. I'm just afraid that he's going to go to either Philadelphia or one of the teams in the division. I really do think that Brad needs to just get off his high horse a little, because guess what? If the expectation is Super Bowl every year, draft picks don't matter. F them picks, as everybody likes to say. If we're expected to be winning the Super Bowl, that first round draft pick is as good as a second rounder. Doesn't matter. The belief is that Myles Garrett is going to go for at least, starting off, at least one first rounder. I could very much see him going up to 3. I think realistically it's going to be 2 first rounders and maybe like a second and a third or some other variation of draft picks and players. But it's going to take at least one first rounder, realistically 2. That's the asking price, in my opinion, to start. 2 first rounders is to start. And I think the Lions should do it. People, you already have some people that are like, well, what about the cap space? We have to re-sign J-Mo. We have to re-sign Hutch. We have to re-sign Kirby Joseph. The cap doesn't exist in this league. Look at the Rams. The Rams somehow perform witchcraft every year. The Saints are choosing to ignore how to play the cap. That's why they're in cap hell all the time. But the cap doesn't exist. And guess what? By the time that certain contracts will have to be re-signed, the cap space is going to go up because of new TV deals. It happens like every 2 to 3 years. The cap number goes up. You bring Myles Garrett in now, that contract is going to be on a discount deal once the new cap space goes up. The cap doesn't matter. You have smart people in your building that know how to play around with the numbers. The Rams do it. Brad Holmes was part of that organization that has done it. Les Snead is a master of that. The Rams general manager. Do this trade. Draft picks are replaceable if you really want them to be, or they just don't fucking matter. They don't. Cap space doesn't matter. Draft picks doesn't matter. You have the opportunity to land a generational player. Oh, and real quick, because I saw this also. I saw this from Woodward Sports. Woodward Sports is an absolute joke. I hate Woodward Sports with a burning passion. Braylon Edwards, former NFL wide receiver. He has his own little show on Woodward Sports, and he had the audacity to say, I would trade Aiden Hutchinson for Myles Garrett. I didn't even have to watch the video because I didn't want to even hear what his reasoning was. I just know that it was completely fucking idiotic to even suggest that. And I bet you the reasoning was he's coming off such a catastrophic injury. He's probably not going to be the same player. Shut up. If that truly was the reasoning, and if somebody that's watching, if you guys watched the video and you can let me know in the comments what his reasoning was real quick, I'll be happy to talk about it. Because I'm assuming that's what he was. Because I couldn't bring myself to watch that video. I just saw people kind of reposting it, retweeting it. And I'm like, what the hell is this? We're not trading Aiden Hutchinson for Myles Garrett when we already have a Myles Garrett player in Aiden Hutchinson. Trading for Myles Garrett just takes us over the top. What are we doing here? That is an idiotic take, and I'm so glad I remembered that because when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I know I got to talk about this shit. It was just stupid. So again, if somebody watched that clip and they saw why he suggested that, please let me know. If not, no big deal. I'll probably watch it after because now my curiosity is piqued. But unbelievable. Moral of the story, you got an opportunity to get a generational player to line up with somebody who's going to be another generational player. I think Amon-Ra said this. Amon-Ra said, if you have your defensive line beefed up, you don't need to even worry about your corners. And he's absolutely right. If you're able to bring nonstop pressure, you could be fine with Terrion Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw being your corners. You could be fine with Kendall Vildor being your CB1 if you really wanted to, if you brought Myles Garrett in here. Because guess what? Teams were already double teaming Aiden Hutchinson, and he was still getting to the quarterback. Hell, when did he get hurt? I think it was week 6. I think when week 11 was still around, I think he was still leading the team in pressures. What are you going to do if you bring Myles Garrett in? You can't double team both Myles Garrett and Aiden Hutchinson because then that opens everybody else up. This move clearly makes your team better. Yes, Green Bay could obviously benefit from him. Philadelphia definitely could. They already have a beefy D-line. But guess what? We have a future. I don't want to say future. He is a generational player. Aiden Hutchinson is generational. You get Myles Garrett to go on that line with DJ Reader and Ali McNeil when he's back from his ACL injury. Who's stopping them other than themselves if they get hurt? Nobody would be stopping this team. Nobody's stopping that defensive line. You don't have to worry about your corners. Again, F them picks and just get Myles Garrett, call it a day, and we're Super Bowl favorites. Doesn't matter that you lost all the coaching that you did, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. Super Bowl favorites if you get Myles Garrett. Should they do it? Obviously they should. That's a stupid question, and that's my fault for putting that on the ticker that way, because that's obviously a stupid question. Question should be, do you see the Lions doing it? I would like for them to. But we'll see. Brad Holmes is sometimes full of surprises. You know, we all gave him shit for, why'd you take Jahmyr Gibbs at 12? And look at how that turned out. The man knows what he's doing. I trust him. But I would trust him with my life if he traded for Myles Garrett. I really would. Just get Myles Garrett, please. Some additional coaching changes real quick. I'll take like a minute on this because it was just like a couple things. Lions got another assistant coach. Former NFL quarterback Bruce Gradkowski got hired to the staff as an offensive assistant coach. This is his first coaching gig. Good for him. His first coaching gig in the league. I think he was, from what I'm reading here, he was offensive coordinator and play caller of the St. Louis Battlehawks of the UFL, for those that care about the UFL. And then something else as well. Oh, that sucks. Eli Manning didn't make the Hall of Fame. I think he should have gotten in first ballot. But anyways, another potential coaching hire. I say potential is because the Lions are expected to interview ex-NFL running back Darren Sproles, for those that are familiar with him. Little guy, but man, he is one fast MFer. And he's been getting interest as an, obviously for what? NFL running back coach. We saw Scotty Montgomery, but I very much could see him backing him up or even being another part of that offense. Darren Sproles, solid player. Interested to see what he brings in the coaching world. But again, we lost a bunch of coaches to other teams, former players. Guess what? We're bringing in more former players. That's just the way it's gonna work here. I hope we bring Darren Sproles in. I don't know what it would be for, but he would be a welcome addition. Speaking of coaches, NFL awards, like I said, are tonight. And obviously, I'm going to address this one first. My thoughts on Ben Johnson winning AP Assistant Coach of the Year. My thoughts are, congrats. I wasn't one of those fans that were, comparing him to Osama bin Laden, threatening him. Like, again, for those that remember my thoughts, good for him. He was obviously going to leave. People, I think, are reading too much, and we're reading too much into the whole. He's been preparing for a whole year to go to Chicago. He was never fully invested. Get over yourself. For any player that is going, or for any assistant coach, whether you're offensive, defensive coordinator, that knows you're gonna be number one topic, you're obviously gonna be thinking about your future. He saw the situation in Chicago. He knew that Matt Eberflus wasn't going to make it. Chicago has all the pieces that he would want. I don't blame him for thinking about it. I don't think that took away from his job. Again, the divisional matchup, we still put up 31 points against the Commanders. It's not our fault that our defense was dead. It's not our fault that Goff had wasn't his fault that Goff had a bad game. Yes, he had one play call that I didn't like, but the rest in that game, realistically, was on Goff and the defense being hurt. That wasn't on Ben Johnson. If his own players are there saying, nah, Ben was fully invested like Amon-Ra did, and Amon-Ra's Ben Johnson's number one fan. If Amon-Ra said that he was focused, that's good enough for me. I'm not somebody in that locker room. If people in that locker room are saying, no, this is inaccurate, then it's inaccurate. So, again, congrats to Ben Johnson. I'm happy for him. He was very deserving of it. And, I'm sure the Chicago Twitter page are going to be like, congrats, coach. Like, you did that for us. No. I'm curious to see if the Lions congratulate him. I would like to think so. Again, he did it when you were there. You should congratulate him. And something very exciting, too. I didn't even know this was a thing. So I got to give a quick shout out. So the NFL every year has a fan of the year. And Megan Stefanski, for those that are on Lions Twitter, she was nominated for fan of the year. And I just saw this now. She won fan of the year. Megan Stefanski won NFL fan of the year. So big congrats to Megan. For those that have followed her on Lions Twitter for as long as possible, you can follow her at her Twitter handle is @blue_Jeep. Huge Lions fan. I am just so glad that she won this thing. Very deserving to be named NFL Fan of the Year. That was one that I wasn't going to be talking about actually tonight. I just kind of saw it pop up because, yes, I am on Dan Campbell Coach of the Year watch right now. I'm hoping that maybe that can be named while we're still on the air. But no, I just saw that Megan won, and super proud of her, super happy for her. No one's more of a fan than she is. So big congrats to Megan for that. Super happy for her. But yes, we are on Dan Campbell watch. I would like to think he wins Coach of the Year. For me, the only other potential person that could rob him from that, I think, would be Kevin O'Connell of the Vikings. Mainly because the Vikings performed over expectations. They did. They were not expected to win. Oh, and Dan Quinn too. Because I might go to Dan Quinn, actually. I'll kind of hate that. But Kevin O'Connell led the Vikings to a 14-3 record. Took them to the wild card. They lost, in the wild card. And yeah, I mean, he had Sam Darnold as your quarterback, and he won 14 games. That's impressive. I don't care what you say. Dan Quinn, can't believe I forgot him. He might be the likely winner. Obviously, took a rookie quarterback, took a Washington team that has been terrible for years. In his first year to the NFC Championship game, yes, they got blown out, but they did, for those that are aware, for those that didn't know, did beat the number one seed in the NFC. Don't remember what that team was in the divisional. That I guess that was impressive. Again, don't remember who the team that he beat in the divisional was. I have to remember that. And then Dan Campbell himself, leading the team to a 15-2 record, losing in the playoffs. Don't want to say which round, but again, still led them to a 15-2 record with the defense that they had going on for about half the season, meaning that the defense was dead. I would like to think it goes to him, and if the Commanders thing wasn't a thing, I would think that Campbell would win it. Unfortunately, I'm at the point now where I don't think he does, because Dan Quinn was very impressive. The other candidate tonight, but he's not going to win. I just think they just nominated him as a nicety. Jared Goff was nominated for MVP, and that's all you need to know about that he was just nominated for MVP. He's not going to win it, but he was nominated. Again, would love to see Campbell win Coach of the Year. I don't see it. Which sucks. I would love to be wrong. For those that also know me in my show, I always say I would love to be wrong. But I do think Dan Quinn wins it. If we would have beat Washington in the divisional, regardless of however the NFC Championship game went, I think Dan Campbell would have won it. But in the Battle of the Dans, Dan Quinn won that game. Quinn, I think, wins Coach of the Year because of that. Again, just another way that the cookie crumbles. Real quick, that's enough Lions talk for right now. Obviously, the big thing that's happening this Sunday is the Kendrick Lamar concert, and then the game that's happening around that. It's kind of a big deal. I want to give my Super Bowl prediction. I was supposed to have my be part of IE Sports Radio Super Bowl lineup this Sunday. We have a huge lineup going on of just shows running throughout the whole day, and then even after the game. But I had just stuff come up with that, so unfortunately I had to drop out of that lineup. But please, everybody, still tune in for that. It's going to be an exciting time. I'm super excited for the channel. It's a big opportunity and just a big day. I can't wait to tune in whenever I can. It's going to be such an exciting day, but I would be remiss if I didn't give my Super Bowl 59 prediction. What I think is going to happen is I think Kendrick Lamar is going to lead off with Humble. He's definitely going to do that. I think that Not Like Us will be performed. He's obviously going to perform some songs with SZA as well. Luther's definitely going to be one that's played. I think that's going to be such a smash hit. With Not Like Us, I know with that whole lawsuit that's going on with Drake. I'm a little bit worried that they're going to censor the song because of legal stuff going on. So I think it'll be performed, but I think it'll be censored on air. Rumor has it that the current person in office will be at that game. I do think that Kendrick is going to address that somehow, maybe with All Right or another song from To Pimp a Butterfly. Taryn also believe, I think Not Like Us will be performed last. I would agree with that. I don't think he's going to come right out the gate with it. I think he's going to come out with Humble. You know how that song starts. That's my prediction for Super Bowl 59, other than the Eagles beating the Chiefs. I think the Eagles will beat the Chiefs. I'm praying the Eagles beat the Chiefs. I hate having to root for Philadelphia, but I kind of have to out of principle. If the Chiefs win the Super Bowl, I think I would just gouge my eyes out. I think I would hate the NFL all up until opening kickoff in September. My God, if I have to see a Travis Kelce proposal to Taylor Swift, I think I will literally throw something at the TV. Because I can't do it. If I have to see Travis Kelce get on one knee and be like, "Will you be my?" I think I'd lose my mind. I think I'd break my Xbox. I really will. I can't do it, man. I can't see the Chiefs win the Super Bowl again. And like, people were talking about like, man, the Patriots dynasty wasn't this bad. Like, I don't know, man. I can't do it. The Patriots weren't this insufferable. As much as you want to think about Tom Brady, Gronk, Bill Belichick, and how insufferable they were then, it pales nothing in comparison to the Chiefs now. The Chiefs now are just beyond insufferable. I cannot do it. Yes, Detroit will be playing both these Super Bowl teams next year, and I believe we're going to whoop Kansas City's ass. Philadelphia, I'm not so sure. I think Philadelphia is a really good team. If we get Myles Garrett, though, 17-0, baby. That's all I'm going to say. Real quick, before we log off here, I just want to see, is Coach of the Year said yet? No, I think they're still doing the Hall of Fame thing. God, I kind of want to remain on air till they do. What do I do, guys? Do I stay on air until at least until 10:30 and see if they say who's gonna win, or do I just call it wraps now? Like, I want Campbell to win so bad. He's so deserving. It's just I need the honors to hurry up here. I don't know who won. I saw Antonio Gates won Hall of Fame, or not won. He didn't win, but he got in the Hall of Fame. I know that Eli, like I had mentioned, Eli missed the cut. And I want to talk about it real quick. Eli Manning should have made the Hall of Fame. I was just like, Like, yeah, you have some quarterbacks that won Super Bowl. Like Joe Flacco's not going to make the Hall of Fame. He won a ring. Doesn't matter. I just think that he was very deserving. He's in the top 10 in career stats in the league. He is the leader of most games played consecutively. Like, this dude never missed a game. He was an Iron Man. He never got hurt. I remember it was a big deal when what's his face? Ben McAdoo, for those that remember that fuck, that he ruined Eli Manning's streak for most games started in favor of playing, I think it was Daniel Jones. And Eli wasn't hurt. He just decided to bench him, and that was not fair to Eli. I've always liked Eli Manning. I'm an Eli guy. I could care less about the Giants, but I like Eli. He should have made it. He will be in for sure. It's just I thought he should have been first ballot. And then yes, congrats to Antonio Gates for getting in. He was definitely deserved. You know, one of the top tight ends of all time. Solid guy. And if I'm not mistaken, and I feel like a criminal for not knowing this, wasn't Antonio Gates? Oh my God, I feel like a criminal. Yeah, he's from Detroit. Oh my God, I feel like a fraud. Yeah, Detroit's own Antonio Gates made it to the Hall of Fame. Big congrats to him. I need them to get the Coach of the Year, man. Who else made it? Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. Hold on, let me go back to the NFL awards banner. Let me just at least have that going on. Gates, from what I saw, did not go to Western Michigan. I just looked at. I had to look it up now. He went to Kent State. Oh no! Hold on. Where did he go? He went to MSU and Eastern. Hold on, because I forgot. I remembered he was undrafted. He went to Kent State for basketball. Didn't really play football, but he went to Eastern to play basketball. And then I think he was also at MSU. How did he get in the NFL? That's a crazy story. I don't know. I think somebody saw that. I think somebody looked at him and was like, nah, that dude should play football. And then the rest is history. That's crazy. Yep, he is from Detroit. But he did attend Eastern and MSU for basketball purposes, as well as Kent State. But yeah, like I said, Joe Burrow won Comeback Player of the Year. Antonio Gates made the cut. Eric Allen made the cut. Sterling Shepard, Jared Allen are Hall of Famers. Congrats to Jaden Daniels for winning Rookie of the Year. And again, big congratulations again to Megan for winning Fan of the Year. Super happy for her. I'm really happy. For those that have followed her, nobody was more deserving. So happy for her. Josh Allen, Jamar Chase, named FedEx Air and Ground Players of the Year, yada, yada, yada. George Kittle won Salute to Service Award. Come on, let's get the Coach of the Year. I don't want to keep the fans waiting. Everybody chime in. What song are you wanting Kendrick Lamar to play on Sunday? God, this is timed so terribly. I just want to see Dan Campbell win, man. Oh boy. Apparently Vegas is favoriting. Oh, they're presenting Coach of the Year right now. Hold on. They're presenting Coach of the Year right now. Apparently Vegas is, from what I'm reading, Dan Quinn is the favorite to win Coach of the Year. But they're announcing Coach of the Year, I believe, right now. I'm not watching this live. I'm just following the Twitter feed for the NFL awards. Come on, Dan. Let's win. Dan Campbell. Let's win this, guy. Let's win this. Man, I'm nervous. Man. Kevin O'Connell. Oh, my God. What? No way. I know I talked about him being a finalist and that he was impressive and that he led the Vikings to a 14-3 record, but it wasn't one of the Dans? I'm cutting the show off. I'm done with this. This is terrible. Like, yes. Congrats to Kevin O'Connell. Cool, whatever. You overperformed. Really? Kevin O'Connell over Dan Quinn? That's interesting. Dan Campbell finished second. Andy Reid finished third. And Sean Payton finished fourth. Dan Campbell was fifth. Nick Sirianni wasn't even like the top 10. That's so fucking funny. I guess we that's all right. Well, yeah, what the hell, man? I agree. Terrible. That's just terrible. Again, Kevin O'Connell did a great thing this year, but that should have gone to Dan Campbell. That should have really gone to Dan Campbell. I am just absolutely disgusted by that. Anyways, like I said, my prediction, Kendrick Lamar is going to perform Humble first. Not Like Us is going to be performed last. I know that him and SZA are going to perform Luther together. I'm hoping for All the Stars from the Black Panther soundtrack. Song's a banger. I hope that Kendrick performs All Right or something from To Pimp a Butterfly, since current president in office is there. And then I think that the Eagles will beat the Chiefs. I think the Eagles will beat the Chiefs. That is my for sure prediction. I'm not going to give you a score because what? Do I get a cookie if I get the score right? No. Eagles will beat the Chiefs. That's all you need to know. Otherwise, I will be breaking the TV in half if it ends any other way. But thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know the last 10 minutes were kind of filler because we were just kind of waiting to see what happened with Coach of the Year. Thank you guys so much for still tuning in and just listening to me ramble for the last 15 minutes. You guys are the best for that. I love rambling sometimes, just letting the brain just shoot things off and not knowing what's coming up. Thank you so much for those that have commented in. My brothers, Taryn, appreciate you guys so much. You guys kept the flow going the last 15 minutes. Super appreciative of all you guys just kind of just tuning in and just watching me do whatever the last 15 minutes. But once again, you guys have been watching Gritsville USA right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Give us a follow at Gritsville_IESR. Tune in to all the other great shows we got going on, man. We are rolling along. We got so much exciting stuff happening this year. Super exciting. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh, I saw that. Harbaugh did get 0 votes. I didn't think he was going to be a serious contender. The Chargers didn't make much noise in the playoffs. Give it a couple years, though. Give it a couple years. Jim Harbaugh will definitely be one of those top-tier finalists. I fully believe it. He'll be there. Chargers are going to be a force to be reckoned with. I really hope them and the Broncos just kind of end the Kansas City bullshit going on. But once again, follow us on X, Instagram, Facebook, all your social medias, wherever you get all your podcasts. And please, guys, tune in this Sunday for all the Super Bowl shows we got going on. Like I said, we're going on all day. If you subscribe to IE Sports Radio on YouTube, just keep that thing rolling. Even if you got chores going on in the background, please support the channel, support the guys. We are super excited for everything we got going on this Sunday. It is one of the biggest days of the year in all of sports, and it's just a great opportunity for the show. Once again, my name is Christian Harvey, your host of Gritsville USA, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Talk to you guys soon. Have a good night.